because then they are generalized and can be controlled. It's just, I don't even think that disability helps. Honestly, I've talked to so many disabled people, nothing.
Yeah, it's
Nothing.
something, man. They're real monsters. I can tell you.
And you know what?
Like,
the system is continuously saying, "Oh, they're not disabled. They're not this." It doesn't matter if you're a veteran or if you had an accident like you. It doesn't completely not matter. It just, and they say, when I moved here for 47 years to California, you know what they said? They said, this is a disability heaven. All of the people, half the people are disabled and they don't do anything. I talked to all the disability people and everything. It's not true. I have people that couldn't even walk. They had to wait 5 years. They were more.
yeah.
And they couldn't work. They couldn't get a house.
Yep. No, I
It's
don't think I'm going to get approved, and I'll have to work for another 5 years before I'm able to apply for disability again. And dude, they keep you in this box where it's like like, for me, I have to have health insurance because I'm fucked up, you know?
yeah.
And like, if you make a certain amount of money, you don't get the health insurance. If you don't make enough money, they want
No,
to
it's
keep you under their thumb. It's just such a fucked up system that they have. Like, in a perfect world, this shit wouldn't happen. You'd have a deal with your boss that if you got hurt at
Exactly.
work, like you would have insurance or something that way. It's a really fucked up system, and
You know how
I
much it
hate that I have
costs?
to participate in it, but I
You know
do.
what? How much one homeless person costs? The taxes,
No.
100,000 to the top 10%, $1 million a year. And I was at the panel and asked him, how much? Are you sure a year? They said yes, a year. It's charged. The taxes are charged from 100,000 to a million, and the top, the totally destroyed people that start fighting and everything cost $1 million. They charge $1 million because what you're actually supporting is all these help organizations, but the person doesn't get anything. I mean, we have 7,000 people on the street and the shelters are only 3,000 shelters.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of these people are so gone that the shelters can't help them. Like,
No, and they need help and they don't get the help.
yeah, the ridiculous thing is, like, you get these Californians, and the liberals, unfortunately, are just all in. It's just a housing problem. That's the only reason that homeless people exist. It's just a housing problem. It's like, well, no, you can see what happens when you put some of these people into houses. They just live the same way that they do
Yeah.
on the street inside the house. It's not that they just need a house. Like, they need somebody to fix their freaking brain because they
Yeah.
can't do it themselves. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's medication, sometimes that's spirituality, and sometimes they're so far gone that there's just nothing you can do for them. And it's such a sad thing. Like, I saw a video a while back where this cop was looking for a homeless guy, and he goes to this camp, and he's like, going from tent to tent, and he's like, well, can you guys call me if you see him? And it's like, we're in a point right now where we're just assuming that homeless people have cell phones.
Assuming, yeah. And they know how to deal with the cell phones. Not like a flip phone that you pick up like a phone.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's sad.
Let's start.
Yeah, I just started recording. I said, fuck it. I don't know.
Okay.
We're going. So what do you want to talk about today? I listened to some of that article that you sent me. That was some good stuff.
Yeah, and it's just a complete thing. It's the system relevance ends up always being inhumane, always, because systems need as lifeblood continuous money. This is exactly what we talked about the homelessness, right? It's just they need the money, and it never gets. Even the taxes say we all pay taxes, so the people are taken care of. It never gets to the people. It supports all the help systems, but never the people humans that actually need the help. And they never get the help. And when they get help, they get what the system tells them to. So let's say your needs is whatever, some drug, some weird drug. They say, oh, sorry, we don't have that drug, but we have a cheap drug that might fuck you up totally. And they don't tell you that, but then you get that drug. And often what I saw is what they do is they say, for example, oh, it's also a deal, right? They have, all the homeless have 2 cell phones because they say, okay, we can't help you, but we can give you a cell phone, which they made a job with the company that does help. It's like giving, let's say you're bald, and they said, yeah, we can't help it, but we can't give you hair dryers. So you have to take the hair dryer because, even though you don't need it, it's just what they have made a business with, like a phone, a hair dryer, flashlights, and they give you this shit, and they're not giving you the help that you need. It says, hey, I need this. No, you can't have warm food, for example, because the food stamps give you only cold food, right? So very interesting. By the way, let's go to something fun. I talked to a biker's friend of mine today, and he said, the Isle of Man should be, it should be not 1,000 cc, it should be only 500 cc's. And I said, and I thought about afterwards. And then you and I talked, right, about AI. Since AI, we have the most computer glitches
Yeah.
since AI, right?
Yeah.
And I've never heard anybody say, no, mine, I have AI and everything got good.
Yeah.
I've not heard one person, experts on podcasts or people or technicians, I've not heard one person. It's just glitching all the time because you can't generalize humans. If you don't let them human do individually what you need, individually what I need, that's what computer were at least better in that way. But now it's AI, so it decides what you should do and what not, and then it glitches all the time.
Yeah. I'm never gonna update my iPad again because I guess I'm gonna have to at some point. But dude, my iPad worked so good before Apple Intelligence came out. I was able to put videos onto the podcast. It was just, it worked great. And then they came up with this fucking update with this stupid AI that doesn't do anything. I don't even have it turned on because it's so freaking bad. And it destroyed all of the stuff that I was able to do on it before. And it's
I couldn't even go back.
I call Apple and they're just like, well, I don't know what to say. We don't know when it's going to be fixed. And it's you're never going to fix it.
It's the black box where they say, we want to go reverse engineer what happened. And at the beginning of AI, everybody talked about the black boxing, right? That's a real problem. We got to make sure that we know what AI did or what we did with AI so we can reverse engineer it to find the problem and then shift it. Now, nobody talks about black boxing even anymore. It's just disappeared. And people are just reacting to it. I don't know. We don't know what to do because AI did this itself. And it's just insane. And what he said, it says, and this is so much like AI. It says the Isle of Man. See, technology was so, in the old days, you could ride Isle of Man, right? The most people die on Isle of Man. And now, he says the street, we can't drive the street. It's so powerful, the motors. That's why they lower down the Formula One. They lower the CCs down.
Yep.
So you can't have an V8, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And so now they go electric. So, which is another perversion because it's faster than the gas.
Yeah.
It's linear. It's not feeling. The gases are feeling things where the AI is just program yourself that you are aligned with AI and then you win the race, which is insane.
The systems thing is a great, so this is happening in professional supercross racing right now. So in the late 90s, early 2000s, the California liberals just went after motocross. They went after off-road riding. They didn't want you riding two strokes out in the mountains for some fucking reason. They have their reasons, but they're stupid reasons, like erosion.
So everybody went to four-stroke.
But this is what happened, though. It was a 250 two-stroke and a 125 two-stroke. Those were the classes. And the thought back then was you needed twice the displacement to make the same amount of power on a four-stroke. So they allowed four-strokes to come in at 450 cc's, and they're so much faster than the 252 strokes were that they just immediately displaced them. And now we're really running into problems because these bikes have outgrown the tracks. You can only do so much with a supercross track in a stadium.
That's what I said.
And these bikes are too fast. They've got too much power. They're destroying the tracks. The tracks are just destroyed by the end of the night. And one company makes a 350 and everybody loves it. They'd love
Yeah.
the fucking bike. If every company made a 350, we could get rid of the 450 class, only
Yeah.
do it outdoors, add another class
Yeah.
outdoors because you could have 3 classes outdoors instead of just 2. But
Mhm.
everybody's stuck in this 450, 250 system that doesn't fucking work. It's causing nothing but problems. And the biggest problem is they have to make these bikes. They have a production rule now in Supercross to where the Supercross racers have to use the production frame, production cases, production this and that. So they're designing these bikes to win Supercross races when normal people don't ride Supercross. They ride out in the
Exactly.
mountains.
Yeah.
So these bikes are too fast, they're too powerful, and they're hurting people.
Yeah. It's the same as AI. It's when when we put ourselves down and not saying, "Hey, I want a tool. I want to just drive around on the track, just like you did, right?
Yeah.
The whole thing, and I did with trials, right? It's just, hey, and now you can't even drive trial because it's acrobatics.
Yeah.
It's like Chinese acrobats, doing things. It has nothing to do with trial anymore.
Yeah. Let me
It's
do a
not about
backflip off a rock.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's not. It has no things with human centricity and nature. It's detached from nature, and the same as we think. We not working on our consciousness that we actually create a tool like a knife, right? If we would create a knife today, it would be like the knife decides if it cuts a sausage or it kills you, or it stabs you, or stabs your kitty. It doesn't matter. It's we have so this. Dismantled humanity. It's like they're all man. They're all we poison. I mean, they figure out okay, this poisons the people, and say okay, 4 years you can still poison people. Are you insane? If I find out this is poison, I said, Nick, don't do it. Right now, I'm not going to sell you. If I would sell you stuff that would kill you, and I found out I didn't know, and I found out this kills, I said, Nick, I love you. I know you love it, but I can't give you that anymore. I can't give you the Fruit Loops, for example, or whatever.
Yeah.
I can't give you that anymore because I'm not going to sell it because I'm not going to, I can never. Can you imagine the emotion when you find out that you killed thousands of people?
These monsters don't care.
And they care because they don't care systemically, but nature is nature.
Yeah.
They all belong. We all belong to nature. We all are part of it. And this is the other thing that's so arrogant when they say, "Oh, let's dim the sun. Let's do this. Let's do that." I said, if humans created nature, I would say everything is okay. You can do whatever you want. You can poison people in the no. We are part of nature. Nature created us, universe, God, whatever you believe. We are part of it. We're a tiny part of nature. If we are gone tomorrow, nature keeps going.
Yeah.
And to say I need to change. I'm sorry. I look at nature and says, that tree doesn't grow right. I need to influence that tree. It's not a tree I planted. I'm going to force that. No, I need to change that. I need the weather. I need to change that. Why? Why do you need to change it? You have nothing else to do. You have nothing else to do other than creating a problem, and then they need to buy you to fix the problem. Like the GMO thing, it has no seeds. They wanna what do you call this? I commoditize. They want to commoditize nature. They did it already with water.
Yeah.
Water is for free. No, it's not. Water rights. They all have water rights. How can you have water rights for my water?
Yeah.
I mean, that's gives you 100% control of me.
Yeah. I've got a buddy who has a ranch out in the middle of nowhere in Northern California. The middle of fucking nowhere. I'm talking like just nobody around for hundreds of miles. And the government wants to put a meter on his well.
I mean, yeah. My sister told me in Europe, I come from Austria. So she's in Austria and she says, all the bees are dying. Or, she doesn't say anybody, she doesn't blame anybody, but she says, I wanted to just put a couple of beehives in my yard. They charge her. Instead, she's helping the nature.
Yeah.
She wants to help nature. What the system's all poisoned, right? She wants to help it, and they charge her too. It's all about money.
Yeah.
The human spirit isn't worth anything anymore. And God thanks for a podcast where we keep at least we're still humans. We can still talk to each other, which is our first superpower.
Yeah.
You know,
We get
or
locked into these
second.
systems. Like I know you're always big on systems, and we are locked into these fucking things. Like the Fruit Loops thing. Stop selling poisonous Fruit Loops. And then the CEO is like, well, if we did that, then we've got this system set up where we have to do this to make profit to employ this person, so we can do this and that. And it's like, dude, that system exists in the mind of human beings and nowhere else. It can
Exactly.
change just like
We
that
created
if
them
you want it to.
in a tribe. Remember, in the
Yeah.
tribe, if you're good with horses, because there wasn't bikes then, I was you're good with horses. I said, Nick, can you take care of my horse? And I'm gonna go and get some, go
Yeah.
hunting or whatever, and
Sure,
bring
give
me
me some
some food.
corn. Bring me some
Okay, or
corn
whatever.
back. I'll watch your horse.
Exactly. And that was it. Sorry,
Oh, good.
it means it is so good.
That's like the fun thing about being an anarchist. That like I realize, and most people don't, that like these systems are all just things created by human beings. They have
And
no
can be changed,
physical.
can
They
be
have
updated and changed.
Yep, they have no physical existence. The only place that they exist is in the mind of human
Yeah,
beings. And it's so easy to change. All you have to do is say, hey, there's a better way to do this. Let's
exactly.
do that,
And why?
And
Because creativity is our number one superpower. We can fix everything that we created. We can't alter nature because we didn't create it.
yeah.
But the systems want to fix nature and want to fix
Oh,
humans.
and the
And
hubris and the hubris
the
of these
hubris,
fucking
yeah,
people who think that they need to protect human beings 100 or 200 years from now, who are going to be so much smarter and so much more capable than us
exactly.
that we can't even comprehend it. Yet we have to stop the oceans from rising because these people aren't going to be able to take care of it 200 years from now. To me, that is the most ridiculous line of
Yeah.
thinking. Could you imagine somebody in the 1800s going, well, we have to build this road going across the mountains because otherwise 200 years from now, people won't know how to get from this side of the mountain
Yeah.
to the other. It's like, dude, we're flying in planes now. That road wasn't even a good road. We found a
Exactly.
better road. We built a better road because we are smarter and more capable than people were 200 years ago. And that trend is probably going to continue as long as we don't blow ourselves up.
Exactly. And look at China. China is more effective in what they create. They build a house in 3 days.
Yeah.
With 15 stories and whatever. They're smarter because they didn't have all the work we did.
Uh-huh.
We started early with systems, so we had to, but the system on a hold. They don't want to change. A system doesn't want to grow. It wants to make money. And so it's the money making because it's never enough. And our collective, what I say in this article is, I don't even think the system is bad. It's the humans need to be aware. This is a natural imbalance. If we all think, every person on this world say it's never enough. You and I make 100 grand today. To next month we need to make 120. If we always think it's never enough, that creates an imbalance, and then everybody is just gaming the system. We're in a box. In a box. A system is a box. So in that box, okay, Nick, you and I will fight to the death if we because every nice animal you push in a corner bites you and scratches you. So when you go in fight flight, it's not, oh, that was the nicest animal. I think it has whatever. No, it doesn't have anything. You pushed it in a corner and it bites. Yeah. That's where the DNA switches, pivots, and say your survival is your program. We are all programmed that our survival is the most important when we are pushed in a corner. So this has happened now worldwide.
Yeah.
We and it's not like you can have to be the biggest Christian, the best thing. You can be giving all your money away and everything. If I push you in a corner, your DNA switches. It's nothing you can, and people cannot accept. They cannot accept that. Say, okay, Nick, you and I, when we unbox, we might, if it never changes and it gets more and more pressure, you and I will try to kill each other. Not because we have morals or character and love each other. It's because our DNA said, if you die or me, we have to fight. And they can't see that, and it's coming from all over. Everybody wants to fight, and the war. That's the solution to everything. War. You have over 60 wars. That's the solution. That's not a solution. That is this repeating the history in a box, in a box, in a box. We gotta open the box and say and focus on the humans, not on how the box can manipulate humans. Because the
Yeah.
box says, okay, how can I get these people? Oh, I'm gonna tranquilize them all with cloud coverage and poison, so they're all feeling shitty all day long, And then I can tell, if you push, everybody has control over you. Then you push in a corner.
Yeah. And most
till
people,
he pivots, until the DNA switches and says no.
yeah, and most people don't realize they're in a box. Like that's that's the beauty of being able to think the way that me and you do, is that
Yeah,
like we realize that boxes existed, and they're not, I shouldn't say exist, because they don't exist. They're created by human
great. Yeah,
beings and human beings
yeah,
alone.
yeah,
Here's a great example. There's a great book that came out recently called The Three Body Problem. It's a sci-fi book. It's about an
yeah,
alien invasion. Um, the story's not important. What's important is that Hollywood decided to make a series based on this
yeah,
4-inch thick book. I mean, we're a massive fucking book, right?
yeah.
So they have this system, and we heard forever. It's like technology's getting better, things are getting cheaper, movies are going to be cheaper, they're going to have better technology because this whole thing, right? But we haven't seen that happen. So
Yeah.
in this 4-inch thick book, Hollywood spent hundreds of millions of dollars to create an 8-episode series. But guess what? China did a 22-episode series for half the price, less than half the price. And it's like honestly, I thought the Chinese version was better. The American version was too short. It relied too much on CGI, where
Yeah.
the Chinese version relied more on acting. They did some CGI towards the end, but
Yeah.
it's like you can see that model that we were all told that was going to happen is possible. China is doing it. We're
Yeah.
just Hollywood is stuck in this box where, oh, okay, we have to have an Indian director, and we have to have a producer from Sri Lanka. We have to have
Yeah.
4 Africans doing, this and that. And they've created this ridiculous system where everybody's got to get a piece of the pie. Everybody's got to get a cut.
It's never about the effectiveness ever. It's always about the form. Systems always looks at the form, never looks at the function. The function is, you have a creativity, right? You have a wonderful creativity of that book. Yeah, you said that thick book and you loved it, right?
It's great.
So you have this beautiful thing, but now somebody that isn't even creative decides how the form of this creation should look like. And going back to the biking, right? In biking and car, it's still the human, it's still the talent, because you can do all the digital things in a Formula One car, or all the digital things on a bike, and all having all the help. These people, I think, win. It's the person. It's not, oh, Nick is coming and wins the thing, or Michael is coming.
And that's what's great about dirt bike racing, is it's the only motorsport in the world where you can go and buy a dirt bike from a shop and line up against the best fucking guys in the world. You can't do that in NASCAR. You sure as hell can't do that in MotoGP or Formula One. Yeah. But in motocross, it is still 80 to 90% rider. The rider is
in most sport, because sport is not all digital, right? Sport can only be to a certain extent digital. And then as soon as there's robots, doing the high jump or whatever, nobody's interesting. It's interesting because humans can do it. When I grew up, nobody made a jump, a salto on a bike. Nobody. You're far, 15 yards or whatever. That was the thing. Evel Knievel. That was it was the thing. But nobody makes. Now they do triple, squirrel, whatever.
Yeah. Dude, and like, can you imagine, like, if Formula One just up and said, hey, you know what? We're going to start a new series, and this one's going to be electric cars driven by AI. Nobody is going to watch that. Nobody gives a shit.
Because you want the human element in it.
I want to see what that guy is going to do on the last lap.
Yeah.
When all the pressure is on, when everybody's watching, millions of people. What decision is that person in first, second, and third? What
Exactly.
are they going to
100%.
do? Because you can Monday morning quarterback it afterwards all the time and say, oh, they should have done this or should have done that. But
Oh,
in the moment, going 250 miles an hour, you have got no time at all to make an actual decision. You just got to rely on your instincts and fucking go for it.
but you know it from sports. Sports are the same thing. You think, but the sports you can't trust anymore because
Nope.
they found out basketball was
Fixed.
cheated, football was cheated. Now the stuff they connect. It took the system stole the connection to a player. Today, you exchanged. It's not the 49ers. It's a mixture between
Yes.
the whole NFL.
Dude.
So there is no connection, and because the people think only system relevant, and that's money. But the insane thing is like, oh, everybody has a podcast now. Everybody makes you and I with forever. Now everybody does a podcast. So why do you do a podcast if you don't like talking? If you want ratings, and the ratings are bots.
Yeah.
It's all the system relevant is always a lie. It's I have 15,000. I have 15,000 viewers. Show me the viewers because nobody has time to just keep watching. You find your favorite shows and you keep watching those till they don't like them. And when you see when two people, like for the pivot, for example, it's Kara Swisher and Steve Calloway.
Yeah.
When they talk, it's about the person. It's about the person. It's not, oh, I'm gonna listen anyway. Because when Kara alone does it, or Steve alone, I'm not interested. I'm interested in the banter of the two. And when I think I told you this, when I was with three people interviewed me, and I said, and then we did another one, like you and I. We did another one and another one.
And
then
ours was better.
It was always different. It was always different if that one person, the technician even, not a host, if the technician wasn't sitting in the studio, it was a different show.
Yeah.
And the people don't get that. It's the human is the power. That you're one of 8 billion people is where everything lies.
Yeah.
And you are lucky and successful when you get the icing on the cake and it resonates with others. And it can never resonate if you don't be yourself.
Yeah.
You cannot, like you said, oh, you have to get this and this and this and this. The same is for a system, a film. A film is an expression of creativity. And it has all the creativity in it, the music, the visual, all this stuff. But if you don't get the essence, it's like a vision statement. If your company says, oh, we do both motorcycles, what kind of motorcycles do you do?
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to do I'm the best bikes.
Why?
What? I have the highest ratings with the bikes. I don't care. What kind of thing? And people and cities, all over. When I'm, I was an arts commissioner in Newport. And the people always look at the other people instead of saying, what do we show? So you and I are into realness. I mean, we're not right, we're not wrong, but we at least speak from the heart because we know that the second superpower is after creativity is the context.
Yeah. And when you were talking about sports, it kind of reminded me. So I lived in San Francisco from 2010 to probably 2014.
Yeah.
And the Giants and the 49ers were both really good teams at that time. 49ers, they made it to the NFL championship game. They had a good coach. They had a quarterback that was okay. He was good for a couple years. He wasn't going to be great for much longer. But they were doing
Jerry Rice.
No, this was a lot later than that. But anyways, it turns out the head coach didn't get along with the general manager, and the general manager hated the head coach and wanted him gone. And the owner doesn't know jack shit about football. He just inherited the team from his family. So he took the side of the general manager who fired the coach, who brought in a new coach and new players, and then all of a sudden they suck. And it's like, wait a minute. I was never cheering for a team. I was never cheering for the jersey that these guys were wearing. I was cheering for a rich asshole and a GM. And the team just comes and goes. And after that, I was like, you know what? I can't I can't do this anymore. This isn't a
Yeah,
team. These aren't even like real actual players. They're just fill-ins, and all they really are is a chessboard for a rich asshole.
exactly. Yeah. And he he might be an asshole, he might not be an asshole, but
Oh, he
he's
is.
unaware. But the assholes are unaware.
Yeah.
Tell me one thing. They're unaware. The people, if they were not right now, uh, Jackson balances, the attack on the on all the politicians, they would have never woken up. Europe, everybody wakes up. The whole world is waking up because this is bullshit. It's inhumane. The system dance that they do. Hey, I'm the chief of that
Yep.
football team, and you are that sponsor, and you and I make a handshake, and everything goes afterwards. That's over.
Yeah.
That's over at least now. I have a fear that it will. It doesn't matter if you make tariffs or anything. It doesn't matter because if the financial principles, which is before, that's what the article I sent you. If the financial principles are before a capitalist and thing, the king was sending the people on the street into war. It was always that it's never enough. We got to get more. My tribe has to fight your tribe because I need to get whatever you have. It's always that. Why is it not enough? Why is it not enough to just be and create and motorcycle or whatever? Why is that not enough?
Yeah.
When there's growth in it, your own growth. You fall down, you break your leg, you learn, and you had an accident. I was extremely neurodiverse. I'm still, but I wouldn't want it without that because I have learned so much about who I am.
Yeah.
I couldn't talk. I stuttered. I couldn't read. I still can't read. I wrote 8 books, published 5. I did all this shit. And I did it because I like it, not because, I'm going to look good. I've never done anything to look good.
You want to talk about inhumane. So when I broke my shoulder, I was snowboarding. I have a broken shoulder. I broke it a while back. I was snowboarding at night at a ski resort. So I crashed. I go into the ER place, and then I go down the mountain, and I go to the hospital to the ER. The ER, they take x-rays. They go, yep, you got a broken shoulder. We're going to write you a referral to go to an orthopedic surgeon. They'll probably call you early in the week. Okay, no problem. This is on a Friday night. So Monday morning, I get a call from my normal doctor, my doctor. And they go,
GP.
so you got in an accident on Friday. I go, yeah, I did. I've got a referral to go to an orthopedic on Thursday. Well, you're going to have to come in here first because we have to see you before we can send you.
Some money.
They had to get their piece. So I go in there. I had to go in there at 8 o'clock in the morning, Tuesday morning. I'm fucked up. I didn't want to get up. Like, I'm in a lot of pain. And I go in there, and the doctor just looks at the computer and goes, oh, yeah, you've got a broken shoulder. Didn't even look at it.
This is how it is.
Didn't even look at it. The only reason I was there is so they could get a piece of the pie.
Yeah. And we are not even conscious. They said, I have to follow protocol. Otherwise, I can't exist.
Yeah, and I even told him, I was like, this, it's fucked up. Because the doctor was like, you seem a little irritated this morning. And I was like, I'm extremely irritated. I go, oh, why? It's like, because I'm sitting here and I'm not in bed. That's why. Oh, well, we have to do this. And it's like, no. I already had the fucking, you don't have to do shit. You didn't do shit. You didn't even look at my fucking arm. You
looked at the computer.
Yeah.
The system. You looked at the system, not the...
doctors are the worst. Doctors are just computer interpreters at this point. The computer's the one that decides the plan. They decide what medications you can and can't take.
Yeah.
All they're doing is being a go-between between me and the computer.
Yep.
The computer calls the shots, not them.
And what I found also, since we talked, I saw doctors, when they're taught wrong, it's what they're taught. When Harvard teaches you, when you have a broken hand, you need to this. They say, okay, I gotta follow. I cannot do anything else. And for example, with the blood pressure, when you have high blood pressure or a heart attack or something, what they do is giving you saline. They give you a saline infusion. That it's the opposite what they preach. But Harvard says both, and they can't even see the context. Why would I give somebody that has high blood pressure and gets a stroke, give a saline solution? Because it says salt is bad for you, which is it. They found out now salt is the highest salt consuming people have the lowest blood pressure.
You need it.
And that's why I'm saying that when you're taught, you can't even blame the doctors because they need to survive like everybody else needs to survive.
Yeah.
And they say, I follow exactly the protocol of all the schools. But when they're taught in the school the bullshit, a system is neither right or wrong, but a system is here like science. Science is here to balance, to tell us how we balance, because in nature, balance is the superpower. It's not winning or losing.
Yeah.
So balance. And so the science is here to say, right now we have this problem. Take this, make this, do this exercise. And tomorrow we found out, what we told you last time was shit. And say they cannot, because it's all about ego. They can't, and about the form, right? They cannot say, yes, we thought that was really bad. And then it takes an RFK to say, no, lisinopril or the is forbidden.
Yeah.
Because that was the thing. And that's why I never understood this. I had a high blood pressure, elevated blood pressure. I take and all of a sudden I have no symptoms of blood pressure. None. Only the computer said I have blood pressure, right? I take the stuff. All of a sudden I get all the symptoms that the blood pressure has. The same. I had like 30 years I had depression. And I wasn't depressed. I'm not a blue type. I was just tired. And she says, I cannot analyze you, Michael, because you have sleep apnea. So I went to sleep apnea, blah, 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 blah. And they put me on 6 the antidepressant. I thought I'm going to go crazy. So I got all the things, all the symptoms that you have to get the drug. I got it when I gave me the drug.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
It's unbelievable. And now they're figuring all that stuff out. They say they gave women stuff that to get fertile that made them infertile. It's just insane.
Yeah. My mom and her husband have a dog that they got rabies shots for the other day. And within a couple hours of getting the shot, face started swelling, couldn't stand, foaming at the mouth. Rabies symptoms. They take the dog back to the vet, and the vet goes, "Oh, she must have got stung by a bee. It's clearly not our fault."
Are you insane? That's I mean, and we take everything because we are conditioned. The system is always right. It's not. The system needs to be always challenged.
Yes.
The system needs to be always challenged because we created systems to support and help the people that need it, not to do a global, thing, but every human that needs it, you go to this system that helps you in that. You go to that system that helps you in that. And that's why we created systems. That's why we pay taxes for the system. It's like when it's easy for me and you to fight a war, right? When we don't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
When we don't have to die for it. We don't have to destroy our infrastructure. We have our house, our home. It's easy to say, okay, Nick, let's get in a war. Mm-hmm. But if you have to pay for it, you have to suffer. You have to think that is made for the other people.
Yeah.
Just that you can have a safe life.
Yeah. It's something, man. Like the most violent, violent warmongers in the country have zero stake in what happens on these wars. Their kids never go and fight in them. Yeah. It's not their money. It's our money, that's going
what's
over
so
there.
Crazy.
And these fucking people, they're so egocentric and so full of themselves that they'll go and, say that people like me and you, oh, well, Michael, you didn't study systems in college, so you're not an expert.
Shouldn't get paid. You shouldn't get paid anything.
Why are you talking about things that you don't have any expertise in? And it's like, well, maybe because I wrote 8 books. And I did this and I did that.
Experience.
It's like maybe I didn't need to go to college to understand these things correctly. Yes. I've actually had better luck with nurses than doctors in the past few years because doctors are so egocentric. Like when a doctor comes into the room, I always, "Hey doc, how are you?" Because it feeds their ego and it just makes things go a little bit smoother. Yeah. But I feel like with nurses, they don't have that ego that, doctors are also some of the worst financial people in the world. They
Yeah.
think that they're so much smarter than everybody that not only can they save lives, but they can also handle their own
Do everything.
finances.
Do
And then they
everything.
go fucking broke, right?
Yeah.
And I think nurses, they don't have that, like, I'm better than everybody type of mindset where they're more willing to listen, they're more willing to do some research, and they're more willing to admit that they might be wrong.
Mhm. Everybody is wrong because there's 8 billion, one of one. And 8 billion people, there's one life that 8 billion people look at from different perspectives. And for me, it could be great if somebody comes here and kisses me here. For you, it might be great if somebody could say, hey, Nick, let's go biking.
Mhm.
It is a different, it's the same life, but it's from a different perspective. And you want to live here, I want to live there. It's there's nobody wrong. And by talking to it, that's why podcasts are so human centric, because people talk. My perspective gets clearer, and your perspective. Nobody, especially if nobody wants to be right or wrong. When you dance with the host, what happens is you talk to anybody in the pub. It doesn't matter. But when you talk to somebody, you clarify your experience with your experience, and you get clearer. Nobody gets worse. There is no losing when you and I talk. There is. We can say Nick and I can talk, and we both win.
Yeah.
Because we grow and win because we clarify our perspective, and
Learning
it
from
fills
each
in
other.
fills in the holes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we're learning from each other. We're willing to let suspend our biases, to hear how each other think and
Exactly.
what they do, and it's empowering to be able to learn from somebody. I've got a buddy who I talk to on the phone a couple times per week. He doesn't come on the podcast. I keep telling him he should because he'd be really good at it. But anyways, like, we just, for the most part, we talk about politics and Bitcoin and shit like that. And then a couple of months ago, before Christmas, his son told him that Santa was bringing him a dirt bike for Christmas. Well, my buddy's never ridden a dirt bike before. He didn't
Yeah.
know that Santa was bringing dirt bikes. So he's like, well, I guess I got to buy dirt bikes. And it started out, he bought a bike, and he liked it, but it was kind of giving him some problems. It was a little bit too heavy. And I go, hey, man, just buy a different bike,
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
now he bought a different bike, and he's, oh, I'm going to sell that. I'm like, oh, dude, you can't sell that other bike. You got to keep that bike for this, and you can do that with it. And the funny thing is like, now when we talk on the phone, all we talk about is dirt bikes. And I asked him once the other day, I was like, how much has your life improved since you've gotten into dirt bikes? You're not
Exactly.
so focused on politics or Bitcoin or these
Yeah.
things that are so fucking important. Now this dirt bike thing has just consumed your mind. And he's like, oh, it's fucking great. I love it.
Yeah, because he experienced it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't experience if you talk of something like politics, which is not even transparent. So you can talk hours about a thing, and it's about system relevance. But if you talk about humans, hey, I went out and I made a wheelie and I
Yep.
almost fell, and then God thanks there was a dog yapping, and
Yeah.
you experience life, not thoughts.
And like, most people are unwilling to try something that's difficult, right?
Yeah.
Like, riding a dirt bike is difficult. It's hard. You realize that right away. Like, you watch guys do it on TV and it looks so easy. And then you get on it, you're like, wow, this is really hard. I have to do multiple things with my hands, multiple things with my feet. I have to have my body in the right position. I have to know what gear I'm in. I have to be able to read the terrain and have a good idea of what's beyond that corner, And that takes so much time to be able to do, like, subconsciously. Because when you're good on a dirt bike and you're moving and you're going through a trail, you're not thinking about pull the clutch, pull the brake, hit the gas. You're just doing it. You're in it. You're in that fucking moment, and you're just reacting and living. And it's one of the coolest things in the world to just kind of lose yourself in something that you love.
And you're using all your senses.
Yes.
Because when it's wet, I'm taking the corner when it's wet, I'm taking the corner with the third. When it's dry, I can take the corner with the second and then just whack in, And you just have to do everything. I know from trial. I do, when I did trial, and I was like, I got a Protako Sherpa 350 was That was my. But
Yeah.
before I went with mopeds and everything and wheelies and stuff, and I thought, oh, what is trial? Trial is great. I want to, and it was challenging, right? So I did a couple of things with the moped, and then I got the Sherpa, and then I did competition. And it was totally different. It was I couldn't even breathe. I was so exhausted.
Yeah.
Going all the sections and it was completely a surprise. I said I can go over this and whatever, and then wow, and especially I could go one section. I could do easy, but I had to do 20 sections. The whole competition is 20 sections, and I said, wow, that is different. That is, I like trial, but I don't like trial competitions. That's what because it's just so intense and so much.
Yeah. Racing is, I was always a better practice guy than a racer.
Yeah, of
And
course. No stress,
most
nothing.
guys are, And I had this KX250. It was a 2002 KX250 two-stroke. It was just a monster of a bike. And I was like 16 at the time. I probably weighed
Yeah,
155 pounds. I was like a flag on the back of that
yeah.
bike. And one weekend, like I struggled on that bike a lot just because it was a lot of power and I didn't weigh very much. And I had my suspension guy there one weekend, and he gave me a setting, and I went out and rode it, and I was like, holy shit, like this is
In the
I,
details, there's so
I'm
much
gonna
fucking
win
thing in the
today. Like
details.
it was
Yeah,
so good. It's like I'm gonna win today. And I went up to my buddy who'd been winning that class, and I go, "How you feeling in practice?" He's like, "Oh, pretty good." And I was like, "Good. I'm gonna fucking smoke you today."
yeah.
And he was
I
like,
thought,
"Really?" And I go, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna fucking smoke you today."
yeah.
And so we go out and we get this. We were at the start, 40 of us, and I pull this massive start. I just smoke
Mm,
everybody off the
yeah.
line, get through the first lap, and then I fucking crashed. And my
But it
buddy,
happens. But
my
it's
buddy
life.
in
That's
second
life.
place comes by, and as I'm on the ground picking up the bike, he goes, "Fucking smoked me," and then he's gone.
But this is life.
Yep.
This is life. This is what happens. And I had the same thing with uh, the Bultaco. Was much harder to ride than the Montesa. The Montesa's 349 was way easier to drive, and my next bike was the Montesa
Yeah.
348 or 49. That was
That's
whatever
another
that.
problem with these big four strokes is that a 252 stroke is a very easy bike to ride for the most
Mm,
part. Like a
yeah,
very good pro rider can almost ride any 252 stroke. The suspension's super easy to set on them. And
yeah,
like these 450s are a bear to set up because you've got so much rotating mass with that crank,
yeah.
a 454 stroke, and that thing is just running at 13,000 RPMs and it just wants to drive you forward and push you through everything. And only a couple of guys in the world can really ride the bike to its actual potential. Maybe two guys in the world that can actually do it. But most of these guys, they're really good on the 254 stroke because that bike's easy to set up, it's easy to
Yeah.
ride. And then they get on this 450 and it's like, fuck. And also like imagine you're doing a big triple out of a corner on a supercross track. On a 254 stroke, you just give it everything it's got and
Yeah.
hope and pray that you make it. That's how you do
Yeah.
a triple in on a
Yeah.
252 stroke or a 254 stroke. On a 454 stroke, you got to be in between 3/4 and half throttle because
Of
if you
course,
go too far,
you have to
you're
gauge. You have
overshooting
to
it.
gauge.
So
You
it's
have
a
to gauge.
harder bike to ride, and it
Yeah.
really it makes it to where the best guys really shine through. The top couple of guys. Last weekend, one of the top guys won a supercross race by like 18 seconds, which is just fucking unheard of.
Yeah.
And you watch him and it's like he is on a different track than everybody else. He's doing something different than everybody else. And the track was harder. It was the hardest
Yeah.
track of the year by far. And it's just like, wow, you put these guys on a really difficult track and the guys who are just a little bit better shine
They're more
immediately.
have their senses aligned
Yes.
to the track. I was. You say you can draft it a 250 KTM. My brother had a 250 KTM. I could never drive that bike
Mhm.
to the limit ever. I could not. It was so radical and bit so hard.
Yeah.
I could never ride that thing.
Very
Never.
few people can, you know.
Super scary. Yeah.
This is an interesting question for you. Are you familiar with the flow state? Have you ever heard
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
So I think that like when I go out and I ride a track and the top pro is on the same track, I feel like I'm hauling ass. I'm going as fast as I fucking can. And I think that these top pros are like, why is this guy going so slow? And I think
Yeah,
part of it
exactly.
is vision. I think that the best athletes in the world can slow things down with their
Yeah,
eyes, with their mind. Barry Bonds could see the laces on a baseball as it's
yeah,
coming in and know if it was a fastball or a slider.
exactly.
And I also think that these top guys, the best of the best in any sport, have the ability to go in and out of the flow state at will. I think
Yeah,
that's what separates
in the
them.
moment, they are so
Yeah.
in the moment because flow state can only exist in a moment.
Yes.
You can't when you're an artist. You can draw and and all of a sudden, wow,
Yeah.
uh, you feel like one day you can't do anything
It's almost an
creative.
out of body experience.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you come in, and it's with me with writing currently. I get in this zone, and it just comes out of me. And then the next time I go and say, oh, I don't know what that is, and what you do is change. You shift. Because I always so from my brain. I'm not saying what yours. My brain. I I painted 3,000 paintings, and when I did paint, I couldn't paint one painting. I had to have 3 easels and 2 tables and did 5 paintings all the time
Yeah.
because I went from one to the other because I know I stuck with this. So just go there. So I do the same with writing. I'm writing on 15 different pieces. And I said, what do I feel right now? Okay, this, and I go there, and then and I say, and I might be wrong. I go to this and say, uh, and then go something else. And I said, no, then I always look my senses and say, no, let me go and have a bite to eat or something, separate and come back. Because when you just separate from something and come back, you come from a different percent. It's not
Mhm.
the same. Now I hate this to write this. I go eat and I come back to that. And all of a sudden I'm different.
Yeah.
My perspective is different. And they say that you look at life perspective. Supposedly, I can't feel it. I can't think, but I try to sense it more and more. We probably shifted our view of reality billions of times already.
Yeah.
And with all our things, trillions of times, it's all about
Yeah.
that. And we're not conscious about it, but that's why it's constantly you get away from work, you come back, and it from work now too. You wanted to fix that clutch.
Yeah.
You want to do, you come back. Ah, shit. Yeah. Then you go next day. You come because you processed the clutch
Yeah.
fixing over when you take off and you come back. You say, I gotta get this done. When I say I gotta get it, I get it done somehow. Then I'm making it the last hour of the day.
Yeah.
And it
Sometimes
would take me five days to do.
sometimes you got to take a step back. I've learned
Always.
that a lot in working on dirt bikes. You can get into something that just is giving you all kinds of hell. Maybe
Yeah.
you're changing a tire, maybe you're changing a spot, you nail your knuckles on something and you start throwing wrenches and
Exactly. Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
goes fucking wrong. And at that point, like you just got to take a step back, calm down, take a breather, maybe throw some music on, and then you come back 15 or 20 minutes later and everything just falls into place the way it's
Yeah.
supposed to
Yeah.
go. And I think you were talking about writing multiple things earlier. I write a lot of stuff too from time to time, and I think writing is a form of magic in a lot of ways
It
because
slows you down. It
you
slows
could
you down.
have a way of thinking about something or a way that you wanted a piece to come out.
Yeah.
And then it's done and you read it and you go, well, that's not right. This needs to go here. I need to put that over here. Maybe this goes in the front instead of the bottom paragraph. And then
Yeah.
I can tie this together with that. And maybe 15 pieces turns into 5 pieces because you
Yeah.
can connect those different pieces to each other. And to me, that's a little bit like magic because not only are you able to parse out your thoughts and get your thoughts in line in a different way than you could by speaking or by thinking, you can also give that to somebody else and let them go through that same process that you did. Why does this connect to that? Maybe let me think about that. That makes sense, or that doesn't make sense. Why doesn't it make sense? And you've got this spell now it's taking you down a road that maybe you wouldn't have traveled before.
Yeah, I like especially when I like that article about scarcity I did like 2 months ago,
Yeah.
and I didn't do anything. And last week, I just got that. There was my break. I got all the stuff that I did with, and we can add the scarcity.
Yeah, I'll add it in the show notes for sure.
So if somebody's interested, it's amazing. And I totally changed the whole article, even though I published it.
Yeah.
I totally changed it. Like you said, this place here, this place here. I don't need this. I say this twice, and you see it in a bit. And when you don't experience this, AI can do the job, but it can't. It can't do the job because it wouldn't do number one with number five. It wouldn't do that. It would do this in even in, logistically or linearly. It would do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and but we would do 1, 5,
Yeah.
3, 4, whatever. We would do it differently.
Yeah.
And then it's not you. See,
and you know what's interesting about that is like when I write a piece, I can go back and look at it 6 months later and go, oh, this needs to change. All of this stuff needs to change.
Yes.
And especially
Yes.
with my early writing. My later writing is better because
Yeah.
I learned it. And I was watching like an interview with Jordan Peterson one day. And this was after I learned how to write. I didn't really learn how to write until a few years ago, until I actually, nobody ever taught me grammar as a kid. So I didn't know how to use grammar at all. I just had to learn it myself. And now it kind of makes sense. So I'm better at it. I'm still not great. But anyways, I was watching this interview with Jordan Peterson and he was talking about writing. And then he was like, he takes you through his writing process. He's like, you write this. And then sometimes, and he went on to explain the exact fucking thing that we were just talking about that I organically learned how to do because it's just the right way to do it. And it was really cool to be like, holy shit, like I actually figured this thing out the right way.
You figured out to shorten a chain.
Yeah.
You figured out to make an egg. You figured out all this stuff. That's human centric. We don't need to see. The system says we don't know anything, and we keep you safe if you keep paying and listening to us and whatever. And then they don't do it. See, if the systems, they could have everything what they have now, if they would fulfill their promise. But it's not a promise because you can't fulfill a promise for 8 billion one-of-one people. You can say for the man, for the woman, for the black people, for the Chinese, all this stuff, all this segregation.
Yeah.
It has to be human-centric first. And then once you know it's human-centric, you got turned on by writing, so writing chose you and you chose writing. But what if you never want to? I would never say if somebody doesn't want to write, I said, don't write. And people ask me, you are such a good artist, which, what does that mean?
Yeah, it's all subjective.
All subjective. And also say, yeah, I'm a great artist because of me. I'm not doing it for anybody else. And then they say, why do you not paint anymore? I said, because I got more creativity in writing right now.
Yeah.
It's the same energy, it's the same energy of, and you're an artist.
Yeah.
So
no, I don't write as much as I used to now that I do the podcast because I feel like it's easier for me to be creative on the podcast. I think thoughts come to me in a different way and I'm able to parse out my thoughts in a different way. And like a lot of times the podcast is really helpful when I've got like an idea about something, it's like, that's bothering me. What about that bothers me? And then I ask somebody else about it. And Michael, this thing has been bothering you. What do you think about this? And then you take me down a road and I go, oh yeah. That makes sense. And
that's what I said.
It takes me somewhere else and we just keep on moving,
It clarifies both. Everybody wins in podcasts.
Yep.
Because it verifies both. And I kind of can't stand that they can do whatever they want, but I'm saying they make it like news now. And it's just podcast is a human-centric medium. It's not a system-relevant medium.
Yeah.
Because it's not, you don't do it for the world to see. Obviously, you would like the world to see it, but you don't do it for
Yes.
the world to see and for the ratings and for the money and for the whatever.
I started the podcast for the wrong reasons. I started it for
Yeah,
those reasons. I have a
everybody
perspective.
does. Yeah,
I want people to know what I think and what, I've been sitting in this house for 10 years. What have I learned about myself? And it was like, how can I make some supplemental income while I'm sitting around at home? And now I look back on that and think like, wow, how naive was I in thinking that I could do
you
that?
experienced it.
And now I don't think about it in that way at all. To me, it's a great social tool. I love talking with people like this.
Yeah,
You can't really just call up your buddies and talk, for an hour on the phone all the
yeah.
time. Like that just doesn't. But a podcast gives you kind of a great excuse to talk to somebody for a while, and it's given me so much clarity through the world by talking to people,
Yeah.
seeing how they see things through their eyes, and
It's a
there was an
superpower.
idea
It's
of
talking.
I had an idea of how I wanted the podcast to be, and it's turned out to be something completely different, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't do. I mean, I have my podcast, which is 30 seconds,
Yeah.
which is just about art creation. I couldn't do a podcast. I couldn't do all this stuff with my neurodiversity.
Yeah,
I
it's
couldn't
tough.
edit and all this stuff. So I didn't have a vision of creating a podcast, but I fell in love because of the same things as you. Because the second superpower after creativity is the interaction, the contact, to communicate with each other,
Mhm.
because it clarifies so much. But not communicate about politics, or are you for this and are you for against this? Are you a Republican or a Democrat? Who fucking cares?
Yeah.
Who? I mean, you can talk and say, hey, I find that they want to in England right now they want to dim the thing, and they have Americans that sponsor that stuff. I mean, in America, they screw around with the weather forever,
You
which
know,
is, and they
yeah.
never tell us, which
I
is,
I think one of the most beautiful things about a podcast is that we've been told our entire lives that our attention spans are going down and we can't pay attention to things, and people are stupid and they're not interested in things beyond their life. And we have proved those people to be complete fucking morons, because not only did we go to long form, we went back in time. Podcasts are a time machine back to sitting around the campfire. That's what we're
I
doing
just
right
wanted to
now.
say that. I
We're
said
sitting around the campfire.
it's the archetypal, sharing of food and language and you and stories, right? And that doesn't mean my story is right or your story is right. That it's not about that. It's
Yep.
the dance that we have. It's not about who is right, who is wrong. Oh, I gotta listen to Nick is coming on. I gotta listen to him because he is so system relevant. Oh my God, I can copy that, and that's already over. When you want to copy, when I want to be like you and you want to be like me, it's over. We already given up our essential one-on-oneness that we are by nature made us one-on-one. There's a reason. Don't you think there is a reason why they made us one-on-one? They are not like, oh, you're a guy, you live there, I live here. No, no, and the systems are constantly on that. That human, and when a system can't do it, guess what? Which you told stories already. It's your fault. It's not, why is it a bad thing? Oh, because I'm here, because I'm tired. No, it's always when something doesn't systemically work, it's always blaming the humans. Always. It's never the system that's wrong. And this conditions us to say, I'm wrong. See? And then all humans think they are shit.
Yeah.
Because the system says that, and I couldn't do it. They say, you go to Harvard, you have a job, you get paid. Bullshit. Complete bullshit. Have you talked to all this Columbia, Harvard, Princeton people? No, that's not automatic. That's the lie. Exactly the same as the lie that, oh, this is a conspiracy theorist. Because science says the other thing, and science is wrong.
And,
so,
yeah. And you know how Harvard grads get jobs? The same way that we do, by meeting people. They don't get jobs based on their degree. They get jobs based on who they meet while they're in college. And that's the same thing that I've done my entire life. Every job that I have ever gotten in my entire life has been through somebody I know.
Mine too. I've never gotten a job from an interview. I've never gotten a job from a resume or interview.
Me neither.
Never ever.
Me neither.
And I had good jobs. I mean,
Yeah.
for me, I mean,
I had
Robert
good
Evans.
jobs too. I've had some good jobs too. And
Yeah.
like, it's all word of mouth. If you're a good worker, if you're a good person, people don't have a problem like
they don't even think twice.
Standing up for you and giving you a recommendation. I have plenty of friends that I would never do that for. I also have plenty of friends that I would do that for. You know, like the dirt bike guy, I would recommend him to work on any of my family's house. He's a contractor. He works on people's homes. I would recommend him to do that for anybody I know. I've also got friends up here that are looking for work that I could not recommend just because it would kill my reputation. If I bring this guy over to your house to do a job for you and he steals something from you or he does something stupid, like I am not willing to put my name on the line for that person, you know?
Absolutely. That's human. That's what we all do. I mean, somebody says, "Hey, I could be a gardener." I said, "What gardens did you make?" "Oh, I did, but I know I read everything. I watched everything on YouTube."
Yeah, it's not the same.
I'm not gonna recommend you ever. I mean,
it's not the same. I remodeled a room in my house recently. I was gonna do it myself. It's like, I know how to do this. I've done shit like this before. I can fucking do it. I ripped the whole thing apart, and then I stood there and I went, fuck, I don't know what to do next. And I went to YouTube, and you can't find the right video. And it's like, finally, I just stood there and I was like, well, I guess I have to pay somebody to do this because I don't know what to do next, and the internet's not helping me.
Yeah, that's the whole thing with AI and stuff. All the research. Also, what I said, how can you be systemic and they don't even want to know. So every doctor's form thing that you fill out is saying, do you have a red sweater or a pink sweater? And you have neither. You have a black sweater, a hoodie on. And I said, why is there not another thing it forces you to be generalized versus other? Do you have do you have this? Do you have cough? Do you have this? I said, no, but I have a headache. Why not other? And you say, no, a headache. It's never the other. If you're a system that wants to learn, but they want to earn, they don't want to learn. If you want a system that said, I want to be better. I want to be better. For Nick, I fucked up. But for the next person that comes in, I want to be better. So give you a research and you fill that out. And I don't have other. I force to generalize you. And that's in healthcare. That's in all research. And I see a couple of now because I for years, I'm complaining to this. I said, don't give me a thing where there's no other because we are 8 billion one of ones. We don't generalize and have only black, red, and pink. What if I have a blue on? Oh, we didn't think about that. Then right.
Sorry, the system does not recognize blue as a color.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a color. It's not worthy. It's only when it's red, when your skin is red or pink, that means it's that. But when you, what is when your skin is blue? What? Yeah.
Our system has we've never ran into that.
And you see
before.
how limited it is. It's so limited. And then they put you into the pink or red category and can't help you. Guess whose fault it is? Yours.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well,
it's just.
I think that's a perfect way to get out of here, Michael. We're not going to do any music today. I didn't do any music.
We can heal and do everything as human if we stick together as humans and not saying, okay, I gotta be the vice president of this. Yeah. You know, it's about just, hey, I need somebody about motorcycle. I want to talk to you about the motorcycle. I want somebody that knows about this, this life that you and I are similarly living. Like I say, hey, I'm calling Nick about this, and that's what we do anyway. We make a podcast. And we are good.
Right on, man. Well, like always, it's always a pleasure talking with you. I'll have your scarcity and any other links you want me to send down in the old show notes, and we'll do this again here in the next couple months, right?
Absolutely.
Right. Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching.
That was good.